Hello everybody, this tutorial is going to show you how to do dimensioning in Illustrator. This tutorial is also going to be really helpful for those that have done the Juicer project. So let's get started. The first thing I did was that I've created my isometric drawing of my little juicer. I used the whole isometric sort of conventions where I created a box that was drawn isometrically. I added my ellipses and drafted and crafted basically. Notice that my isometric drawing is three-dimensional. It's made up of form. Over here on my page, I've got my three views that make up my orthogonal drawing. This is a two-dimensional drawing and it's made up of shapes, not form. When I drafted my three views, I did use the 45-degree method, which enabled me or ensured that my views were aligned and also they were equidistant apart. The equidistant apart is a very, very important convention that you want to achieve with you're doing your orthogonal drawings. So let's get into dimensioning. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that I'm going to focus on my front view. What I want to do is create myself a very cute little ruler. Just drawn a line, now going to select it, and I want to make it 1 centimetre or 10 millimetres long. To do that, I'm going to go to transform. Now, if your transform is not sitting up the top here, or it's not sitting over the side like my stroke menu, just go to window and zoom down a little bit, or scroll down I should say, and you'll find transform. So it appears like this. Now I don't need both of them, so I'm just going to get rid of this one. So still having my little line selected, I'm going to transform, I'm going to the width, and I'm going to make it 10 millimetres wide or 1 centimetre. Now I'm going to use this for my measuring. First thing I'm going to do is place it right here, and I need to make sure that it's actually touching my object. Now what I want to do is place my first dimension line, which is going to show the height of my juicer, and it needs to go against this. So what I can actually do is at the moment, see how I can select this? Well, if I start trying to draw lines around it, sometimes they connect to the drawing. This may have happened to you before. So rather than going onto a new layer, which you can do, I'm going to select this view, going to Object, and I'm going down to Lock and Lock Selection. Now I can still click on paths and on anchor points, but it's not going to move. Very handy. Selecting my pen tool, I don't want to touch, just a little bit away, and I'm going to come out here. I want to go beyond that projection line. Sorry, go beyond my little measuring tool. So that's my first projection line. Now let's put in another one. So again, not touching, just coming away from it a little bit. This is my second projection line. Now I need a dimension line, and my dimension line, of course, is going to be like so. I take this up to here, and we take this down to here like so. I think I'm going to need another dimension line. So I'll move my little measuring tool and I can copy and paste, or I can draw it fresh again, either way, and I'm going to place that there. Grab my little measuring tool and put it out of the way. Now let's clean up these dimension and these projection lines. First of all, have you noticed that this one's a little bit thicker than this projection line? That's just because when I was drawing them and then I was stretching them, not only was I stretching the length, but I was also stretching and changing the stroke thickness. So another thing to think about is we want to make our projection lines and our dimension lines the same weight or a little bit lighter than our object lines, because we don't want our drawing to look confusing. So selecting these like so, now I'm going to go in and let's make them 0.02. Well, let's have a look at that. Much neater, and my object is starting to stand out again. Now let's go back and talk about a few conventions. We'll zoom in. So this is our projection line. It must never touch the object. I can probably go a little bit closer. We're looking at a 1 millimetre gap. I promise you I'm not going to measure that. Then it hangs over, or it goes past the dimension line by 2 millimetres. Again, I'm not going to measure it. Just make sure it hangs over. The last thing we want to see is projection line and then dimension line. We don't want to see this happening here. Okay, let's go down and we'll have a look what's going on down here. Zoom out, and now here we'll go back in again as well. All right, and we'll zoom out. That's looking pretty good. Now on this first line, which is closest to the object, I'm going to put my smaller dimensions. I'd like to put the height of the cap. I'd also like to maybe give a suggestion of what this measurement in here might be, and I'd like to also give the measurement of the bottle or the container part of my juicer. Then on this line, I'd like to have my total dimension. So notice that we have the smaller dimensions are closest to the object, the bigger dimensions are going to be further away. So let's find out how we can do this. So zooming in again, let's put our big dimension on first. Select my dimension line, and then making sure we're in our stroke menu, can actually go here to arrowheads, and I can choose an arrowhead. I think arrow number 9 is really nice and neat. It's not too decorative, and it looks really good for orthogonal drawings. Now, here's my next one. Now, what I want to do here is I can actually come up like so and see, look at this, and it stops. Again, that line looks now to be thinner than this one. That's because when I shrunk the actual height, I've also mucked around with the stroke weight. So I'll just go back and put that on. Now I can put my arrowheads on. So remember, I had arrowhead number 9. And there we go. The next one that I want to do is, so again, see how I've just lined that up? And I'm going to go straight down. Like so. Let's make sure I am on the same 0.02. I haven't adjusted or haven't played around with the weight of the line. And now we can put some more arrowheads in. This looks a bit funny like this because I do need to have some more projection lines that are coming out here. Very easy to do. Coming here. So again, can you see how that lines up just beautifully? We want this to go just beyond. Same thing again. Don't touch. And we want it to go just beyond. Now that's looking really good. Let's zoom out again. So now what I can actually do, and it would have been very tricky for me to actually put in a number here, but what I can actually do is I can put a dimension number here, a dimension number here, and a dimension number here. What I then do is take this one and this one, add them together, subtract them from the total, and then I can work out what this little space here is. So I can actually get away with I can actually get away without having to put an actual number there. So this is our next thing now, is what do we do about numbers? How do we put numbers on? How do we work out how tall things are? Well, when I drew this, I've actually drawn it half the size of the real object. So what I can actually do is I can use a scale of 2 to 1, which means it's double the size. If I had a scale of 1 to 2, it would mean my drawing is half the size of the original object. So let's say that again. If I have a scale of 1 to 2, it means that my drawing is half the size of the original object. If I have a scale of 2 to 1, it means my drawing is double the size. So I'm going to go down now and put in a scale of, just ungroup that, bring this across, and I'm going to have a scale of 1 to 2. So that means that my drawing is half the size of the original object. So let's go and find out now, knowing that, what I can do. So first of all, I'm going to select this line. Then I'm going to go to transform and find out how high it is. It's actually 36.395 millimeters. I might round that up for the sake of this tutorial, and let's just say it's 40 millimeters tall. Well, this here is 40 millimeters, which means it's 4 centimeters. That's not very big, is it? But guess what? In reality, this is actually 8 centimeters tall. So what I'm going to now do, go back to here, I'll be really cheeky. This is what I love about Illustrator. I've selected it and I've copied and pasted it. I'm going to put it here. Okay, Then I'm going to go Object, Transform and Rotate 90 degrees, and I'm going to place that right here. So we know that that's the size, that's the true measurement in millimetres of this drawing. However, we know that this is a scale drawing and it's half the size of the real object. Now that we've had that discussion, let's go ahead and finish the rest of these. So I'm going to grab that one, copy and paste, put it down, Object, Transform, Rotate 90 degrees, and now I can put this here. Let's go and find this one, Transform, copy, paste, and then I can go Object, Rotate, and I can put that there. So things are working out for me. Notice that I'm not writing M&M afterwards because I have all dimensions in millimetres. Putting M&M afterwards just tends to make your drawing more cluttered, more difficult to read. Remember, this subject is called Visual Communication and Design. So it's about communication. Let's keep going and finishing this, shall we? So what I can now do is I'll go and grab this little fella here and a little ruler. I'm going to rotate it, and now I'm going to place this up against here like so. Next thing I want to do is I need some projection lines. So again, just here, but again we don't really want to touch the object. I'm going to come down like so, copy and paste, and the same thing here, coming down like so. Now I need to have my dimension line, which is going to come across here like this. I'll move my little ruler out of the way. Remember, we want to have our projection lines just going beyond, like so. Now we can put some arrowheads on, like so. Now let's find out our measurement. And now I can grab this, copy and paste. And I can place this on top of here, like so. Let's zoom out. Okay, let's have another look, shall we? Another reason why we want to have our dimension lines and our projection lines the same line weight as the object or lighter is we start getting crossing lines like this. It looks really confusing. So I'm going to clean my drawing up by bringing this down a bit like so, and bringing this back here like so. Looks a lot neater. But did you notice that my line thicknesses have changed again? So I'm going to go back in and change it like this. Now my drawing is looking a lot neater. Alright, that's how you dimension this circle. Another way that you can dimension this circle is, rather than doing it on here, is we can actually go up to our top view and we can pop it onto here like this. So what I can actually do now here is I can do a line coming off like so, and then like so. Okay? And that's called a leader. And now I just pop a little arrowhead on the one that's closest to the actual object like so. Then what I need to do is find my diameter symbol, which can sometimes be hard to remember where it actually is. But it's in type. If we go to glyphs, and I'm just going to go down to here, and we should be able to find it. Let's go for a little look, and here we are. So just double click. Actually, it's not going to work unless I do this. And now we'll click, and we've got our symbol. Pop this right here, like so. And then I'm going to go and steal this. And paste. So that's how I can pop that on there. So just notice that I have two choices. I can either show the diameter or the width, which is the diameter of the circle here, or I can show it here. It's your choice. My advice is to choose whichever one is going to make your drawing look less busy and less messy. So I'm just going to delete this one now here as well, because what I might like to do now as well is come zoom in, and maybe what I might like to do here is copy and paste, and this time around we can even have this one here Bring that out. Notice that this is different to this. Oh, and also notice my fill's on. Let's turn that off. So I need to go back and change that so it's the same. And then it's just a matter, copy and we'll paste. Pop this one here, like so. But this is incorrect, isn't it? So now to find out what it actually is I can lock that so it doesn't go anywhere. All right. What we can actually do is we can just go in here. We can draw another line like this. Just put it out of the way. Whoopsie daisy. Like so. Let's find out the height. So we've got this measurement here. Copy. And paste. Oops. And paste. There we go. So that's how I can dimension that. The other place I could have put this is I could have had lines coming up here, like so. I'd probably avoid putting dimensions on this one as well. Where you can, place your dimensions on just one or two views. If it does make sense to go onto the third view, of course, put dimensions on there. Remember, at the end of the day, you want your drawing to be easy to read. To finish off, a couple of things. Number one, the dimension numbers always sit on top of the dimension line, like this. Then what happens is, if you can imagine this was a piece of paper rather than my computer screen, I pick my piece of paper up and I turn it once to the right. And when I do that, notice that the dimension numbers are still sitting on top. To finish my drawing off, I need to label my views. So I'm going to go top view. Notice it's not plan. We save that for floor plans and elevations. Must be uppercase and try and put it centered. Then we have our front view, or you can just write front if you want to, top, front and side. Just keep it consistent. Again, it goes underneath. And finally, we have our side view. Again, should be centered and lined up here. Zooming out, let's just finish up. I can lift the whole drawing up and just sort of maybe push it up a little bit so this is not so empty. We've got all dimensions in millimeters. Pop your name in here. Year 12, S for Sherwood. Put in a title. My citrus juicer is called the Citrus Ball, so that's what I would write in here. I've got scale of 1 to 2, and you can pop in the date, which would be just beautiful if you just had December 2019. And then you're finished.